Welcome back, everyone, to Newsroom. I hope you guys are recovering well from yesterday's events with the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I'm airing on Fridays, and I bring you the latest on reforms and economics based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review, and it's based off my interests. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Let's get right into our news headlines. As Iraq shifts into their next government, Baghdad Obelisk reports the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Hakeem al-Zamili, reveals yesterday, March 16th, 3 paragraphs during the next Parliament session, stating that the House of Representatives includes deputies who do not look to their parties, but to the interest of Iraq, noting the interest in forming a government and choosing a president representing Iraq. He states those 3 paragraphs were the following. The next Parliament session will include several paragraphs, including voting on committees, voting on the rule of procedure for division of committees, and voting on choosing the President of the Republic. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mohammed set Saturday, March 26, as the date for the House of Representatives session to elect the President of the Republic. So this will be interesting to see if Iraq can actually move forward, or will there be more delays. Earlier this week, Shafaq News Agency reported Tuesday the Iraqi Council of Representatives announced the names of 40 candidates for the presidency, indicating the exclusion of 5 candidates. The General Secretary of the Council said in a statement received by Shafaq News Agency that based on the Parliament's decision number 7 of 2022, taken in its session number 3 on March 5th, and the pursuant to provisions of Article 4 of the Laws of Provision for Candidacy for the Post of Presidency of the Republic, number 8, and the House of Representatives announced the following. 1. 45 candidates applied to run for the position of the President of the Republic, 5 of whom were excluded for the following reasons. A. Exclusion of candidate for inclusion and accountability and justice procedure. B. 4 candidates were excluded for the reasons related to their university degree. 2. 40 candidates fulfilled the conditions for candidacy for the position of the President of the Republic stipulated by law, and those names will appear in the description box of my video release. So I'm not chopping up their names. Legal expert Al-Tamimi said in a press interview with Euphrat News that 40 candidates have met the legal requirements for the position of the President of the Republic, and there will be 2 rounds to vote on the candidates in accordance with Article 70 of the Iraqi Constitution, noting that the nomination doors is open by a 2/3 majority and that it is attended by 2/3 of the number of deputies according to the Federal Court Law number 12 of 2018. He adds the candidacy door is open to all, and every person who gets 2/3 of the votes by 220 deputies will be the President of the Republic, and the 2 highest winners will compete for the second round in the final elections, and the winner will take the constitutional oath at that time. Baghdad Obelisk then went on to report that the Kyrgyzstan Democratic Bloc had set Tuesday, March 15th, the date for an official announcement of the National Salvation Alliance, noting that all parties had a tendency to elect a president of the Republic and assign candidates to form the next government after the Nowruz holiday. The representatives of the Kyrgyzstan Democratic Bloc, Sharif Salman, said in a statement to the local satellite channels that al-Masala followed the alliance to save the homeland as reached the stage of announcement, and it is strong and cohesive alliance, stressing that it soon will officially announce the tripartite alliance, perhaps after the Nowruz holiday, because the region celebrates during these days. He adds that the coalition is present and its all provisions are ready and agreed upon, noting that the real direction of the coalition is to build the state of solid and firm foundation for the benefits of the Iraqi people. He points out that the voting sessions on the President of the Republic will be soon, and all positions and opinions, even by the coordination framework and other blocs, are headed towards emphasizing the announcement of the presidential election sessions and the assignment of the prime minister after the Nowruz holiday. Moving right along, Baghdad Mawazin News reports the Central Bank of Iraq announced Thursday the size of the gold reserves in Iraq while determining the country's ranking globally. Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Isham Shamran, said that the gold reserves in Iraq are 96.4 tons. Shamrad added that Iraq is 37th sequence of international gold reserves. The World Gold Council last January published its report on the reserves of the central bank in the world of gold, and its data showed that the reserves amounted to 35,571.3 tons of metal. According to the data, the total reserves increased by about 11 tons in the January 2022 report compared to December 2021. The United States leads the world in reserves of precious metals, followed by Germany, then Italy, then France, and then Russia. Shafak News reports the federal Supreme Court decides to postpone 32 federal lawsuits regarding raising the exchange rate until the 4th of April. The federal courts have decided to summons the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Central Bank to appear before him in a special session regarding the exchange rate of the dollar against the Iraqi dinar and to speak to assistance of economics experts Bassem Jamal. And it is noteworthy that the Central Bank of Iraq on December 19, 2020, officially announced the amendment of the foreign exchange rate, the U.S. dollar, to be 145,000 dinars for every $100, according to the state general budget for the year 2021, approved by the House of Representatives. As a result, according to the specialist, the annual inflation in Iraq has risen significantly, so that the prices of all materials and commodities in the Iraqi market have risen significantly, which has sparked a wave of strong resentment among the popular circles as well as the objectives of some interest in the economic affairs. Shafak News then reports the Iraqi Council of Ministers decide in a session on Tuesday to send an advance of 200 billion dinars to finance the salaries of employees and workers in the public sector in the Kurdistan region. An informed government source told Shafak News Agency that the Federal Ministry of Finance will, in the coming days, deposit the amount of the accounts of the Central Bank of Iraq and Erbil with the aim of distributing it. The distribution of salaries in the region witnessed a noticeable stumble during the past 3 months due to failure to send a monthly advancement of 200 billion dinars. Prime Minister Mustafa Al-Kazimi has decided last June to disperse 200 billion dinars as an advance allocated to pay the monthly salaries of the regional's employees. Government officials in the Kurdistan confirm that without this monthly funding that Baghdad sends to the region, it's difficult to pay the salaries of hundreds of thousands of employees and retirees in full and without deductions. The regional government provides the rest of the amount for the distribution of salaries from the internal financial revenues in Kyrgyzstan. Mawazin News reports European Union parliamentarians voted against the new proposal to regulate digital currencies, which would have resulted in banning of major digital currencies, including Bitcoin and Ethereum in Europe. Yahoo Finance reported that officials in the Parliament's Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs voted to amend the language used to draft laws on markets in crypto assets that was introduced in 2020. A text was added prohibiting the provisions of services to cryptocurrencies that depend on proof of work mining mechanisms, recently increasing pressures on the cryptocurrency industries as countries tighten regulations. The articles added to the draft last week sought to tighten regulations around digital assets by creating a license system in Europe and simplifying a uniform set of rules for member states. Proof of work is a mechanism by which computers solve complex mathematical puzzles in order to create new units of digital assets. The clause could have forced the POW to move to greener mining, but it failed to get the required votes. If members vote to adopt the new rule, it would require Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to phase out proof of work and switch to method such as proof of stake, a mechanism that allows cryptocurrency holders to monitor and create their own verification nodes. And the Ministry of Finance issues a statement regarding raising the value of the Iraqi dinar last Saturday. The ministry stated in a statement received by the fourth writer, Lahib Hagel, says that at the time when the political elites in Iraq are still facing an impasse over the formation of the government, the value of the Iraqi dinar has returned form as a source of contentions that can be used to score populist points. And for that, on February 28th, the House of Representatives hosted Minister of Finance Ali Alawi, based on an initiative of the Vice President of the Sodarist Movement, Hakim al-Zamili, to address the exchange rate and the effects on inflation on ordinary Iraqi citizens. She continues, on March 14th, the Federal Supreme Court would host Alawi and the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq following a lawsuit demanding the strength of the dinar, explaining that the Central Bank of Iraq devalued the national currency in December 2020 amid a sharp drop in crude oil prices globally, which threatened an economic collapse, especially since Iraq depends on a lot of oil export revenues, and it must be noted that devaluation does not. It's very popular because it leads to an immediate increase in the price of imported goods. There's a lot going on in Iraq right now. Shafak News reported an informed source reveals Monday that the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken informed the Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazemi that Washington would not stand by as a threat and attack on its allies in the Kyrgyzstan region. The source told Shafak News Agency that the U.S. Secretary of State informed Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazemi during a phone call made by Blinken after Erbil was subjected to Iranian bombardment that the United States of America will have a position on the Iranian attack on Erbil through a direct response to Tehran or on its agents in Iraq and the region. Erbil, the capital of the Kyrgyzstan region, was attacked late Sunday night by 12 long-range ballistic missiles launched from outside the Iraqi borders and landed in the vicinity of the American consulate and the Kyrgyzstan 24 station in the resort of Saleh al-Din, which resulted into material damages to buildings and homes. And according to Shafak News, Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazemi met Monday the Kyrgyzstan Democratic Party, the KDP, Mauser Barzani, after arriving in Erbil, which was subjected Sunday to missile attacks, and adopted by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard under the pretext of existing of an Israeli intelligence headquarters, which was denied by the Kyrgyzstan regional government. Al-Kazemi arrives in Erbil accompanied by the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Defense, and National Security Advisor, where they are scheduled to inspect both sites that were damaged by the missile attacks. Last week in the comment section, King Martin asked me, "Do you know Jesus?" Thank you, King Martin, for asking that question. Yes, I know Jesus. I pray with him religiously. I've even seen him in my dreams twice. Thank you for such a great question. And that's all for this week's Newsroom Weekly Review, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics. I try to bring you all the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm Chella Smith, Newsroom here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like my content, give me a thumbs up. I will see you guys next Friday for your next Newsroom update. Shout out to Currency 365 for his continued support. If you want to learn about stocks and cryptos, you can join him and his crew for the most recent updates. That's in my opinion. You can find him on YouTube or Patreon. Just a friendly reminder, I'll be taking some time off from the show in April, so I will be absent Friday the 22nd and the 29th. So if you're keeping notes, you may want to jot that down. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend, everyone, and take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.